All right, so today we're here to talk about Wild Thing as part of our Pose of the Week series. And Wild Thing is a funny pose because you will be in some classes and they'll say, flip your dog into your wild thing. They might also say wild child. They might also say rock star pose. And there's probably other things that they will say also. So what I'm gonna do for you today is I'm gonna give you what I would call a wild thing, and I think what most people might refer to as wild thing, and different ways to get into it. And then I'll also kind of show you what that rock star pose looks like also, just in case you're in a class and the teacher demos it and that's what it looks like. So you'll have a couple options. There's a few different ways of getting into it. And even if you're not too keen on flipping your dog entirely, I'll even show you something that you can do to kind of follow along and still participate. So we're gonna talk about our Wild Thing pose, and Wild Thing is a lot of fun to do. It is a big back bend, it's a big heart opener, and you can get into it a lot of different ways. So I'll kind of give you some of those different ways of getting into it. So first off, we're gonna just start in our downward facing dog. You spread your fingers, pull the low belly in, roll the shoulders away from the ears, and the legs are active. Hips lift up to the sky. So for a Wild Thing, you might start from a dog split, stretching your leg up to the sky, bend your knee, and start to roll your hip open. So from here, it's tempting to dip into the shoulders. We don't want to do that. We just want to stay square and breathe here. From there, for your Wild Thing, start to soften your standing leg. Keep rolling that hip open. Eventually, the ball of your foot is going to touch down. From here, roll your rib cage out and up to the sky, lift your heart, and maybe float your fingers above your mat. Imagine that someone was pulling your chest up to the sky, and then just let it go and breathe. And to get back, you want to drop your hips, pivot on the ball of your back foot, sweep your leg back up into your dog split, and back to your dog. So that's one way. There is another way. It's called rock star pose. You might hear them used interchangeably. Some people call it Wild Thing, some say wild child, some say rock star pose, and it just depends on the teacher and the class. So another way to get into your rock star or wild child might be from your plank. So you get into your plank, same idea, you got your right leg, you're gonna roll that hip open, but instead of bending that standing leg, you actually just flip over. You lift your leg and the back leg actually stays straight. Toes point away from you. And then you lift the hips, lift the heart, stretch through the fingers, and breathe. And then you just drop your hips, return to your plank, nice and strong, and then maybe to your down dog. And that's Wild Thing, Wild Child, rock star, whatever you want to call it. Okay. So for your wild child, you might see a lot of classes, the teacher says, flip your dog, and people flip over and they like crash into the earth. So we do want to avoid doing that. It's just really heavy on the joints. So one modification I can offer to make it a little bit more accessible, even for those of you who don't necessarily want to flip your dog the whole way, would be that you start the same way as everybody else. You reach your leg up, bend your knee, roll your hip open. This is where people get stuck and you tend to see them like flop over. So you do, just like you would, soften the standing leg, start to touch down, but instead of landing and lifting, you take your butt all the way down and you breathe, and this is a really good place to be while everybody else is, lifting up. From there, you could pick your hips up, stretch out if you're feeling okay. This is almost like that rock star pose, our back leg is straight. And then, your hips can come all the way back down before you flip back over into your dog. So that's just an option if you don't want to flip over and land the thing immediately. So thanks for watching, and I hope that you subscribe and keep tuning in because we've got a lot of exciting stuff coming up. Namaste.